Hello, and welcome to my review of Doctor Who The War Games in Colour. It is just after ending, and here are my thoughts on it, because I do have some positive, a few negatives, and one, what the fuck was that? So yeah, this is actually my first introduction to the story, because I'd never seen it before. I've seen bits and pieces of it, the Doctor summoning the Time Lords, the Time Lords forcing him to regenerate, clips that are relatively online. Those I have seen, that was it, until sitting down to watch this tonight. So, positives. We'll start with the positives, because I'm assuming if you're watching this, you've already watched the 10-part original, or you're just watching this, so I'm not going to give a whole recap, because to be honest, I struggle to keep up with it. I'm not going to lie. But I will get to the positives. Obviously, it looked great in colour. It was again on par with Doctor Who: The Daleks in colour, which was last year's special, which is no longer on the BBC iPlayer. Yeah, for whatever reason, last month they just took it off. Now I don't know if it's since returned to the BBC iPlayer, but obviously this story is going to be on the BBC iPlayer as well, and it will get a physical release in the new year. But again, I'm not sure if the Daleks in Colour is still on the iPlayer or not, which is why I'll end up picking it up. I will probably pick this up as well, because again, if this is going to be a yearly thing where they'll pick a random classic episode from the first and second Doctor to make into colour, that they will eventually take the old one off to put the new one on. So other positives, again, harking back to the Daleks in colour, they weren't, flashing back to other scenes that we already literally had just seen. That's something I was worried about going into the story, because that's what the Daleks in colour heavily done, was lean into, like, we know you just seen it, but we think you got the attention span of a goldfish, so let's just reintroduce this scene as a flashback, even though you've literally just seen it. But thankfully, that did not happen for this. So yeah, I've only seen a handful of Patrick Troughton episodes, and I enjoyed him in this. The same with Zoe and the same with Jamie. I absolutely loved them. And again, just some of the new additional visual effects that they added in. Some of them looked really, really nice. Like some extra TARDIS scenes, like as it's flying about, as the Doctor is trying to escape from the Time Lords at the end of the story, before they, take over and bring them back to Gallifrey. There's definitely a scene that I think was ripped out of a Capaldi episode. The end of Heaven Sent, I think it was ripped out. It was just, going along this path that leads to show, the glass citadel of the Time Lords. And I'm like, that kind of feels like it was pulled straight from that episode. And then, of course, there's additional CGI scenes for that. There are some shots that look really, really kooky. But aside from that, I definitely liked it. But as I said, I definitely struggled with this one. But I will say another positive that I do have about this is that it's actually making me want to go and watch the original, because I do have the original 10-part story on DVD. I've even burned it onto my laptop. And so because I definitely want to see the scenes that we missed, because it's a 10-part serial that's over 2 hours, edited down to an hour and a half. There definitely were some parts that were definitely cut, that I definitely think, for me, I would need to see those to maybe enjoy the story that bit better, especially just to ignore some of the woeful things about this. So we'll get to those. That they're severely hinting that the Time Lord that the Doctor fights in this is the Master. I don't think so. I think that they should not have leaned into that, because now, granted, I do know from actually doing a little bit of research as the episode was as the episode was airing, because as soon as I heard the Masters, that, the Johnson Masters theme, I was like, are they really going to lead heavily into the War Chief to be the Master? And apparently, in some expanded media, it's confirmed that it is the Master, but in other expanded media, it's seen as two Time Lords. And then in this, I remember seeing like someone on the Reddit, the Doctor Who subreddit, posted 8 months ago that if he was another Time Lord, how come he didn't regenerate? They added in some regeneration sound, like noise, very very briefly, but I did catch that, because again they're trying to insinuate that this is the Master, that he's going to regenerate into to the Delgado Master. I'm assuming that we see in the Delgado's first story, which was in season 8, I believe, of Classic Who. Which I have seen some stuff with Roger Delgado's Master, and I do enjoy him. He's definitely up there as one of my favorites. And yeah, but again, one thing that I really don't like about these Daleks in color is the fact that they, and it's kind of the same issue that I have with Dragon Ball Z, the English dub of Dragon Ball Z compared to Kai. And I know people who are watching this don't give a rat's ass about Dragon Ball, but this is my comparison that I have off the top of my head here, and that is the constantly playing music when it's not necessary. The Master theme would at one point dragged on for so long that you couldn't really hear what some of the dialogue was, because it was that fucking loud. And it's not just the Master theme; it's a whole bunch of other different music, and we did not need it. The music does not need to be there in every fucking scene, because it wasn't in the classic, and it was fine. And again, with Dragon Ball, the Bruce Faulkner score, that was constantly being played. Again, it's Dragon Ball was other media, whereas in the original Japanese, that it wasn't so reliant on music, which is again an issue I have here. Now, the other issue that I have is when it comes to the regeneration itself. And that is, they changed the original scene where the Time Lords are given the Doctor his option to choose who he's going to look like. And in the original, they just showed a bunch of drawings, I believe. And that worked. That worked for the story. But for this, and my gut tells me this is a Russell T Davies thing. Again, with his whatever he's been doing, to the show since returning, especially for these episodes in color, it's starting to piss me off massively. He just randomly decides to show future incarnations of the Doctor for whatever fucking reason. It served no purpose. Like, yes, it's nice to see Capaldi, Tennant, Smith, Whittaker. It makes no narrative sense. These are future incarnations of the Doctor. He should be allowed to pick those. In universe, the Time Lords have the ability to see into the Doctor's future and his past. Why would they make him pick his future regenerations as to be his third incarnation? As soon as I seen it, it's like, oh, really? You're really fucking doing that? It just pissed me off. Like, it was not necessary. The same with last year's version of An Adventure in Space and Time, where instead of having Matt Smith be there, they edited in Ncuti. Now, I like Ncuti. He's a really good Doctor, but I prefer the original. That's something that I prefer when it comes to media, like re-release media. I prefer the original. I'll always prefer the original, and I wish they stick with the original for this, because it made no sense. It makes no logical sense. It makes no sense narrative-wise. It fucking breaks canon. Like, him seeing his future regenerations and before he's even them, It's pointless. Massively fucking pointless. But this is just chalked up to Russell T Davies wanting to insert something in as a call back to the fans when it's not necessary. Now, I could be wrong. This could be something that had nothing to do with Russell T Davies, and I'm just projecting my hatred onto him for this. I could be wrong, and if I am wrong, I do apologize. But until I'm proven wrong, Russell is getting the blame for that. I'm sorry, it's just like, it breaks canon. Like, again, I know I shouldn't give a rat's ass about what canon is, you know, but having the second Doctor see his future incarnations before he even sees them, it just irks me. It irks me, and it hurts my head. It hurts my head. And then we get to the proper regeneration, you know. It shows the original one where he's like, oh, you're making me dizzy. You know, I love that. That's perfect. That should have been the regeneration. That should have been the regeneration. Not the absolute horror dumpster fire that they just done. Where it's, the Doctor just, he's back in the TARDIS, he regenerates, and then we have some scenes with Jon Pertwee, who I love. I do love Jon Pertwee. He is one of my favorites. And I will give them credit. As the TARDIS is heading towards Earth, we do see the meteor, which we know to be the the nesting conscious from the episode Spearhead from Space. So there is continuity for that, which I did like. But again, just the whole process of seeing it, I don't like. You know, I don't want to see it. I liked the version that we got. Stick to that version, not this. You know, and then, again, pulling dialogue for him. You know, Jon Pertwee's Doctor, having a look into the TARDIS, and then, you know, oh, what's wrong? Where am I? You know, stuff, and then immediately cut to him falling out, and then again, there's nuisances with the TARDIS sounds. We hear the TARDIS land, and then we hear it again from the pulled Blu-ray version of Spearhead from Space. So they use it twice for no reason. So, taking a deep breath. Aside from that, like I said, it has made me want to go check the original, and it has me not wanting to watch this version again. Simply because of there's a lot, again, with the Daleks in color. For me, there's a lot more to hate than there's a lot more to enjoy. See, the Daleks in color, I've seen it a million times, so it bored me. This one, I fail to fully understand, because they're making cuts left, right, and center and not letting it breathe. They're like, we're gonna have this person, talking. And then we're just going to see the Doctor just immediately hop through different time zones and not give it a chance to breathe. Now, I'm not sure if that's the way it was in the original, because again, I haven't seen the original 10 episodes. But after watching this, I do want to see them. And I will watch them at my own time. And of course, I will do a review for it. But that won't be until the new year. And that is going to be my review. So, thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Let me know what you thought of this in the comments down below, and I'll see you all on Christmas Day for my review, of course, of the brand new Christmas special, Joy to the World, or Joy to the Worlds. I'm not sure which way they're fucking calling it. But anyway, I'll see you all on Christmas Day for that review.